After everything goes down, I reach back to the friend. I'm like, okay, well, how's your e-commerce thing going? The guy is like, oh, we scaled the store to 1 million in the last 4 months.
The great irony of life is this. We all want a life we love and more time with the ones we love. But our job, the very thing that's supposed to be the financial vehicle to provide that freedom, is the very thing that chains us down. Do you think you have what it takes to rise above yourself? Are you ready to start transforming your dreams into reality? If so, I'm Cody Thiel. Welcome to the Finding Freedom Podcast, a tribe of dreamers and doers, rebels and fighters that are here to prove to the world you can have your cake and eat it too.
Welcome to the Finding Freedom Podcast. On here with Ace, Reddy. I met Ace online, and he is outside the solar space. And I know a lot of people are in the solar space, but I thought, one, I love Ace's content, and two, he's being very successful in his space. And so I thought it would bring a lot of value to bring him on here, have a conversation, and just see like a completely different world that a lot of us solar people aren't used to seeing, but that has a ton of potential and actually doesn't require like a ton. Like it's not like you have to pick up and move and do a different job. Because I've had a lot of people ask about this. So that's a long intro. Ace, for those that don't know you, give us a little snippet of your bio.
Oh, for sure. Thanks for having me on the podcast, by the way. Really excited to share a lot of value with your audience. Guys, my name is Ace Reddy. The first thing you need to know is I kind of have an ADD, so I'll go from 4 different topics. Like I'll scroll through 4 different topics at the same time. I'm sorry for that. But I'm an internet marketer. I'm 21 years old. I've been in this business for like the last 6 years or 7 years, since 2013. I got in this business when I was about 14 years old. I was bored of school because I would get good grades and stuff, but I was just bored, and I just felt very unfulfilled, right? Because like I look at my dad every day, and my dad like had a degree and stuff. He was an accountant, and like his income was capped. Like he was like there's only a set amount of money that he could make, regardless of how great he works, regardless of what he does, right? And there were people like my dad on one side, and there were a lot of people living in freedom and abundance on another side, right? That could go into places, buy whatever the heck they want to buy, and really live the life that they want to live. Um, I would look at that and I'd be like, okay, look, like I need to change some things here. So I started looking for ways to make money. The internet was a really famous thing to make money with. In 2013, everyone's like, oh, me making X amount of money here. So I got started but I was searching for a way to make money, and there was this company called Cafe Press, right? And I was like, this is amazing, because the way Cafe Press worked is they would like you would create a design, and they'd print it onto a shirt and they'd ship it to the customer for you. And like you could get that done for like $10, and you could sell the shirt for $20. So you would make $10 in profit. So you get a design together, you put it on a shirt, you sell it, you make $10 profit for every shirt you sell. I was like, this is golden. Let me get to work on this. For me, that was just gold, right? Because like I was bored at school, and this is something extremely fun. I got started in that. Unfortunately, you didn't really have a lot of mentors back when I was doing it. In 2013, there's really no one that was actually talking about, making money with e-commerce like that, like with print on demand. That business model is called print on demand, by the way. And there was really no one to tell me what to do. So I had to quit that because I didn't know that you had to like advertise your products and stuff. And then I joined and then I did a bunch of stuff, guys. Like I did MLMs, anyway, 2014, I was miserable as hell. I felt like a sore loser because I'm like, dude, I've really like quit on college because I like quit on school because I'm like on the inside I had no interest, to go to school anymore. Zero. I completely quit on it. I was going there, but my mind was somewhere else. Like my physical self was there, but like mentally I wasn't there at all. Like I didn't like I always knew I was going to be a dropout. So a year later, I'm like, okay, dude, like I've been doing this for like a year now. Like I think I made like $150 and spent like $400 or $500 so far. And I'm like, there's something wrong with me, and I'm like, at this point I think I'm 16 or 15. And I'm like this is just messed up. Like, what do I do here? But then I have some experience running Facebook ads and stuff, or at least watching it. And like there's this personal development guy. He did a webinar with Jordan Belfort, the Wolf of Wall Street. And I remember emailing the dude after the webinar. And I'm like, dude, that was an amazing webinar. Like, you killed it. And the guy's like, well, you were one of the few people that actually emailed me. I think everyone else was busy emailing Belfort. I'm like, yeah, whatever, and this guy is like, tell you what do you do? And I start telling him my story about how I use, like, how I've been in the industry for a while, like keep pushing through and stuff. And the guy is like, well, tell you what, I'll give you a job. Like, come run my ads for me. Because I don't know anything about ads. Like, come run my ads for me. It'll be a learning experience for you too. And I was 16, right? I was exhilarated. I was like, dude, like I will do this. Like, this should be really fun. I started running ads for the guy. A month later, all my fears started to surface, because now, like, I didn't have my freedom anymore, which is one of the things that I wanted to have. Because, like, I look at my dad every day, and like he'd wake up at a certain time every day, and he had a certain way of living, right, which was very restricted. Like, he couldn't do all the things he wanted to do. It was so, like, he lived in so much restriction. Like, he did everything that he did to take care of the family, which I'm really, really proud of and happy about. But like, he was mega restricted in his way of living, and I did not want that. So the moment I got this job, right, I don't even know if it's a job. It was remote. I was working from home. But like, I was like, dude, like I don't see myself living this life ever. But I wasn't making any money at this point. Like, I was like I was failing with every project. And the worst thing happens is, like, the first month that I start off the job, my dad passes away, and this gets like really wrecked, because now I'm like, because he was the only working person in the family, and like now my mom wasn't working anymore. And I'm like, dude, I gotta turn things around quick, because my mom is like, you know what, we'll sell the home, we'll go to a smaller home, we do that, we do this. And I'm like, okay, dude, like, I gotta make some money here now. you know that's when I got introduced to Grant Cardone, actually, because I didn't know Cardone until then. I probably met Cardone. I probably saw Cardone stuff like in October of 2014. um, and I was like, okay, this guy seems interesting. But like, after my dad passed away, I started watching Cardone's videos, and his dad passed away too. So I don't know, I just had a rapport with the guy. When he was younger, his dad passed away, and we had a similar story. Kept listening to him. I kept taking 10x levels of action. And I think by March of next year, I built a 6-figure business. I'll tell you guys how I did it. I made 6 figures by the March of next year. So that was in about 4 months or so. I quit school. And this happened pretty quick, because I was like, dude, I'm making more money than my teachers. There is no need for me to go to school anymore. I was going on vacations all the time, and I was being a reckless spender. So, and that just goes to say that you could fail for like a year or maybe 2 years or however long you've been failing. But the moment you strike gold, and things will turn around very quickly, um, because of the momentum in the right direction. Now, what did I do to like turn it around? Here's kind of like the backstory. By the way, dude, am I going on for too long?
No, I am hanging on every word. Keep going.
All right. So I think it was December, right? When I quit the job, like, which my mom was like, okay, dude, like, you have one job, like, keep it. Like, at least you're earning money. Like, I'm like, okay, look, I can't be tapped by this. I feel like I'm in a prison of some sort, like you're working so much, but you're making the other dude so much money that you could be making yourself. And like, I'm like, okay, well, look, like, let's venture into a new model, because like the previous models really didn't work. And that was when there was this dude called Peter Chan Jr. Okay, and this guy was blowing up. He was a guy I met back in Empower. We've been friends for like, now me and Peter have been friends for 6 years. I've known the guy since he was making $3,000 to $4,000 a month or so. And I met this dude, and now he's making 6 figures every month. And I'm like, this guy made like 100 grand selling t-shirts, guys. And I'm like, dude, like, how are you doing that? And he's like, oh, nice to see you again. And I'm like, we didn't speak for a bit. And he's like, oh, I'm doing it through e-commerce, bro. Like, like, I quit Empower. Empower was the company that I was in, an MLM kind of company. And he's like, bro, I quit Empower. Now I'm doing e-commerce. I just made 100 grand selling shirts. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Is cursing allowed? Because I curse a lot.
I'll edit it out. Keep going.
Cool. So I'm like, dude, like, this is a joke. Like, this guy is making 100 grand selling shirts. Like, you serious? I pull up the video proof, and he is making 100 grand. And I'm like, dude, like, wow, At this point, Don Wilson started blowing up too, because Don had a course. Who, by the way, Don Wilson's a good friend of mine now. But back then, he was like my role model, right? And I was like, okay, dude, Don Wilson's the guy, that everyone looks up to. But anyway, so he started like his course called Facebook Ads Cracked, and that was blowing up. Anyway, Peter Chan gives me access to his course, right? He's like, bro, you've been a friend for a while. I know you. You work a lot. Here's my course. Let's see if you go do something with it. At this point, I was like, okay, let's try this out. And I got another business partner who kind of ran that kind of stuff before, and we started running our first few ads. And the funniest thing happens is that we make like, I think it was 15 grand. I don't remember the exact number, but it was somewhere in the range of 12 to 18,000, using this concept called as a name shirt. So like, for example, if your name is Cody, we'd get shirts that said all Codys are awesome. And we'd use a tool called Social Lead Freak. We'd scrape the names of everyone whose first name's Cody, and we'd run the ads to them. And we'd be like, oh, if your name is Cody, you got to buy the shirt, guys. It worked extremely well. A lot of people made a lot of money with it, until Facebook was like, okay, guys, you're creeping a lot of people out here. Everyone thinks that Facebook's selling information. We can't let that happen. So we're going to ban your accounts if you run this kind of stuff. And that was when we had to stop doing it. And then after that, I got into a wide range of businesses. I started running affiliate marketing stuff, and then we had a mastermind on the side, and people were paying like $3,000 just to learn from me, which was pretty interesting, because I was like, dude, like this is awesome, right? I mean, like at one point I used to pay people, now they're paying me. That's awesome. And we started having all these people really blow up, and everything was fine and good. Because I mean, like the month I turned 18, I feel I went and like I had such a life of luxury, right? At like 18 years old, like I would spend so much money on like the most worthless stuff. Like I'd spend $600, like $600 jeans, like the month after I turned 18, I bought like a $6,000 watch, and I didn't even like for me it was more about, oh, I like the watch, I'll buy it. Okay, let me take it. So like I've lived in such a reckless life. I feel like now I don't do it as much anymore, but like when I was 18, I did that. And I felt like I had a Midas touch of some sort, because I'm like, okay, dude, like I can turn anything into gold. And I was young and I was like reckless and stuff, and I was like, oh, I am a legend. I touch any business, going to turn into gold. 2017 was when I had a wake-up call. I started this business. It did not work well, and it really sunk me down, because I had a health issue too at this point, and like took me down big time. It took a few people down big time, because it wasn't just me in the business. And the next thing you know is like I spent 7 months playing Xbox, and I was playing Battlefield every day. I'm like, okay, well, the business isn't working, so might as well go back to playing Battlefield, because I have. Now, the good part about this is I still had a good life while playing Battlefield for 7 months, right? It's not like I was broke, which a lot of people are. It's like, okay, well, they don't go to their job for 1 month, all of a sudden they're in a wreck. Like for me, that wasn't an issue. Like I was like playing Battlefield, I was still good. But 7 months later, I was like, okay, things are going really downhill now. Because it was supposed to be a 30-day break. It became 7 months. It turned into 7 months. And yeah, and like I was like, oh guys, the Battlefield KD ratio is so good, and these guys were like, okay, what are you gonna do with it? Cash it at the bank? I'm like, nah, I'm just good at the game. But yeah, I mean, and then after that, for like a client of mine, because I ran this mastermind, I ran a $10,000 mastermind. It was $5,000 first, and then we kept bumping up the price. We had 40 people in it. One of the client in the mastermind, now he was doing e-commerce, and I was doing some consulting for the dude. So I did some consulting for the guy, and he had this yoga store, right? And he was selling like yoga leggings and yoga mats and stuff. And I was doing some external consulting. And for me, it's more about, because like I was really good at traffic. I was an affiliate marketing guy, so like I was really good at traffic. And this guy was like, dude, I need your help with Facebook. So I'm like, okay, well, I was trying to help this guy out. We did $250,000 in sales with that store in like 4 months or so. The only reason I hated that model is because the profits were too low on that store. And it really wasn't that great of a motivation for me to like quit whatever the heck that I was going to do to this. Because I thought what I was going to do was like a big deal, right? Clearly it wasn't. But anyway, After everything goes down, I reach back to the friend. I'm like, okay, well, how's your e-commerce thing going? The guy is like, oh, we scaled the store to 1 million in the last 4 months. So it's going good. I'm like, like, wow, let me get back into this. I got back into the e-commerce stuff. And the first store that we actually started working on was like this motorcycle store. So I had him as a partner in the store too. Scaled it up to 80 grand, 90 grand actually. Selling rings and chains and motorcycle kind of stuff and t-shirts. And then I was like, okay, look, we're on to something here. And what I did is I took everything that we did and I turned it into somewhat of a system. So now we could pretty much use it with any store and kill it. We took on clients at this point. I had a Christian apparel kind of store selling apparel and phone cases. We were able to scale that store to like $300 a day, $200 a day in 15 days. So in 15 days, we were able to take store from zero to $200 a day. We took another store, selling a mug, guys, like a Viking mug. Wish I could show you that mug, but you could search like Viking mugs or something on Google and you'll see it. We sold $100,000 worth of that mug in 2 months. Yeah, it's a lot of units. We were doing about $3,500 a day at one point. I mean, it just kept going. We had so many stores. We made $45,000 just selling socks, and the system was so good that then I went out and started teaching people that. Now I have over 150 testimonials. I feel like over 50 people, and by the way, I don't know the exact number of this. Over 50 people have built and sold their first product using some of the information that I shared in my programs. 3 people have hit 7 figures in sales. 3 people. 6 guys have hit 6 figures in sales, and there's a lot of other people killing it. 6 Comma Club winners. If you guys know what the ClickFunnels community is, it's like they award people that hit $1 million in sales. 6 Comma Club winners have given me a testimonial. So that's that's pretty awesome in my opinion. But that's kind of like my story, guys. At this point, I'm at a point of freedom. Or I don't know what your definition of freedom is, because everyone has a different definition of freedom. But for me, my definition of freedom was the ability to wake up whenever I wanted to wake up, buy whatever I want to buy, and live the kind of life that I really want to live without having to worry about money or where the next dollar is going to come from or anything like that. So that's really my definition of freedom, man. I think I've been able to create it.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of really good things in that story that I want to dissect. So first, when you were really, really young, most people that age don't think about starting their own businesses. So was it just something inside of you? They're like, I got to do this. I got to try something. Or like, why did you do that versus your peers?
Well, I mean, I was just the kind of guy that, I believe that anything is possible. I don't know. It's just like, because for me, I had the whole idea, because when I was reading this biography of Bill Gates, and it was like this 12-minute biography. I don't even know why I picked it up. We were in the library once, and I was like, okay, well, what book do I read here? And they had a book of Bill Gates, and I'm like, yeah, he's rich. Like he's rich and successful. I read his book. So I read that, and I'm like, this guy is really not that different from us. Like he's just a guy that did things the right way, and that's why he's as successful as he is. So if I do things the right way, I'm probably going to get rich too. For me, when I was younger, it was all about getting rich. Now it's not as much anymore, but when I was younger, I'm like, dude, I gotta get rich. Now it's more about like, okay, well, I gotta get rich and make an impact and stand for something and stand against something and help a bunch of people out. But like when I was younger, I'm like, dude, I gotta get rich. I want the yacht. I want the jet. How do I get it? And for me, I just felt very stuck, dude. Like I would chronically feel stuck, because I mean, here's the deal, right? You don't want to you don't want to go to a job. You never want to get a job. You have no other options really, except for starting a business. I just despise the whole idea of getting a job, because I don't want to live like my dad, who was like working all the time and stuff.
Yeah.
So like the only other option that I had was to start a business, and I'm like, might as well start it now.
Yeah. Well, so that brings us like to another good point, is you wanted these things, these freedoms. And you define those as 2 things, like waking up when you want to wake up and buying what you want. But
Mhm.
you started doing some of those actions and you notice there's repercussions, right? Because I know a lot of people that I work with and coach that have the same thing. And then all of a sudden I give them that freedom to do that. And then they just take it as total freedom without discipline, right? Because then they don't do any of the work. Now
Right.
you hit a hiccup. We'll go with that in a second. That I'll call it the Xbox hiccup. We'll go to that in a second. But like, how do you discipline yourself within that freedom so you still produce results and get value without sacrificing the freedom? Because that's kind of that's the balancing act there.
Yeah, I think the one major thing that actually changed my life for the better and helped me with this is like me being in an MLM company. Because I mean, the whole network marketing deal is a very sketchy deal, and you might not make any money from it, but they are extremely good at personal development stuff. They will get you hooked on the right books. They will get you hooked on the right people. I feel like network marketing is the place where you learn how to learn,
Okay.
and like how to progress. So there was this concept I learned called ambitiously lazy, which is something that I've kind of lived by. So the whole concept of ambitiously lazy is work today so you can be lazy tomorrow. And hustle today so like you could like wake up whenever the heck you want to wake up and like do some of the things that you want to do. So for me, it's not, I don't even know if it's actually discipline, but like for me, when I got into this business, it was just so fun. Because I was bored of school. That was my problem. Boredom was my major problem.
Uh-huh.
I got into this business. It was so fun. I didn't want to stop working. Like I didn't even want to sleep. Like I just wanted to keep going and keep
Yeah.
learning stuff and keep moving forward. Um, yeah, and then I was also ambitiously lazy. So when things got hard, I would still work because I was like, dude, like like I'm just gonna work so much. Tomorrow I'm gonna be lazy when things are going good.
Yeah.
Which I think I kind of did with the Xbox hiccup, but probably did that way sooner.
Well,
Um,
I'm going to get into the Xbox thing in just a second, but let's,
uh,
and
mhm.
again, this is something that I've noticed that a lot of people fall into. And I was actually reading a biography by Phil Jackson, Shoe Dog, the guy that did Nike. And
Yeah.
he says the exact same thing. When they first took Nike public, he said even his wife, who was really, really disciplined, still splurged. I think she bought like, her thing was Staples. I don't remember what it was, but it was something really weird. She just bought like a ton of, or paper clips or something really random, like a whole room full. And
Dang. Mhm.
I know that a lot of people, when they make it, especially when they make it really young and really early, have those splurges. And I think, well, I'm just going to draw a couple of conclusions and you could just add on whatever. I think one, it's just human nature to do that. But two, to like learn to reel it in pretty quick. Because if you don't learn to reel it in, then like it will continue to bite you in the butt. And you have to reel it in. I think that's something you mentioned too, Ace, is like, I still buy stuff, but I'm way more controlled on what I buy now than just buying stuff just to buy stuff. And I think part of that is probably starting to come to terms with who you are and your identity and being confident in yourself and not relying on, hey, I need to buy this watch just to look good. So I don't know if there's anything you want to add on that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, look, I felt like I've been I was very insecure when I was younger, and like I would like buy all the fashionable stuff just to hide that insecurity, like I like dress in Burberry all the time or like Versace or whatever, like just trying to like give out a whole I'm bigger than life kind of image. Now I really don't care about it much, and yeah, as you said, it's like everyone I feel like needs to learn how to reel it in. Um, fortunately, I was able to learn that early.
Yeah,
Um,
well, I think the thing that
yeah.
reels it in is starting to be secure and confident in yourself. And like I noticed, especially a lot of people that make it young, like make it good really young, just
Mhm.
that those insecurities come right out, and they can either let those insecurities continue to drive them, and that's like a big trap with social media, because some people think like, oh, I look good, I gotta get expensive stuff, and people are liking it, but just because they like it doesn't mean they actually value it. There's a huge difference between like a social media like and like someone actually valuing that person. And I'm glad that social media, at least for my feed, the pictures in front of Lamborghinis has really like decreased. I've noticed over the past like 8-9 months compared to what it used to be, because that stuff would get a lot of likes, but it wasn't turning a lot of value. So people started to turn that off a lot. I'm glad the market is speaking towards that. I don't know if you've noticed that as
Yeah.
well.
I agree. I don't think Tal Lopez does a lot of Lamborghini videos either anymore.
Nope.
He does videos with girls in it, but that is I guess the new trend now. Um, yeah,
Well, on Ty's thing specifically, it was just him in a hotel room with a selfie camera, very raw, and that
right.
got a ton of conversions. But let's dive into the Xbox thing, because I think a lot of people that I appreciate you being vulnerable about that, because I think a lot, and I've had to tell my own demon stories about that, but like a lot of times people see someone that's successful and they don't see the downs. How do you
Yeah.
get out? Like, one, I think I'm just going to say this: everybody needs to be more vulnerable about their downs, because we all have them, and the more we hide them, it's just like a demon in the closet. It's going to just make it worse. But
Yeah, I
two,
agree. Mhm.
how do you get over that? Like some people never do. I mean, you see some people in their whole lives, they get hit once, they get knocked down. But I'm guessing there's a couple things. I'm pretty sure I know what they are, because you mentioned them. But I'm just wondering if we could go back to that segment there, and like, what were some things that helped you get out of that downtime?
Well, I mean, I feel like anyone that hits a downtime or starts engaging any destructive activity, I don't think it's like he naturally chooses to get into it. There is a compelling reason why he decided to like get into that sort of lifestyle, right? So like it's usually him running away from something or retreating from like a fact that is, true. He just doesn't want to accept that truth. So he's just like running away from it and finding more distractions. In my case, that truth was like I was like invincible and I'm really good at marketing and I'm really good at that. And like the moment I like took a huge failure, I was just like, okay, dude, like I'm probably not that good. But I was like running away from the fact that I was maybe not that good. I didn't even want to test the fact. So I was like, for me, it was in retreat mode. It took me 6 months or 7 months of me being that destructive. Not just Xbox, like it was alcohol, it was Xbox, I was doing a bunch of destructive stuff. Um, Took me a while to like really crack out of it. Honestly, the reason I cracked out of it was when I was like, okay, look, like I've done this for quite a bit now. Let me just like go back and get things in order
Yeah.
somehow.
Well, there's
Because
one thing you mentioned too, that you were self motivated that. But you also mentioned that someone reached out to you and you willingly accepted their help.
yeah, because it was like a mastermind student of mine. And well, actually, he didn't even reach out. I was like, okay, what are you doing? And he's like, well, I'm doing this e-commerce stuff. For me, I feel like it's always boredom that's a problem. Like when I'm bored of something, I'm bored of something. That's always been like my big problem. So anything that's interesting would catch my eye. In this case, it was this e-commerce shit. And like this guy was like, okay, like like we were earning all this money, it's like selling yoga stuff, and I'm like, okay, look, okay, what are you doing? And he's like, well, dude, like I would really love your help with like Facebook ads and stuff. Like it'd be great to have you on board. And I'm like, okay, well, let's do it. So like I jumped in and I tried to help the dude and really crushed it. So for me, it's like now I have this way of living where, for example, if I feel very down, I try to win in one place. It doesn't matter what place it is. Like I try to get one small win and then like build the momentum on top of it. I feel like that's the easiest way to get out of any slump, really. But yeah, when I was younger, I really didn't know how to deal with some of these problems because I feel like in entrepreneurship and running a business in general, everyone talks about stuff like making money and getting leads and stuff, but no one really talks to you about like the mental transformations that you need to experience to get to a
Yeah.
level.
Yeah.
um,
Well,
it's just
yeah, it is
yeah.
a transformation. I like that word. Now I think I think that's a good wrap on that. And I do want to dive into a few things that you mentioned, because I think a lot of people in my audience are a little unaware of it. And if I don't go into it, there's gonna be some question and answers. So you mentioned e-commerce. That's
Mhm.
your thing. What like the in when I say if I Googled e-commerce right now, there would be millions, if not billions, of search results. So in terms
Mhm.
of your definition of e-commerce, like what do you focus on? Not just, I guess, not your definition, but what do you actually do within e-commerce, Ace? Like what's your realm? What do you like really master at?
I'm honestly, I'm really good. I'm like, I could sell anything on Facebook. That's physical products. So for me, I was really good at ads. And again, goes back to a little bit about the story. I was really good at running ads for like affiliate products. So like I would sell other people's products as an affiliate, and I was making a lot of money doing that before Facebook decided to take it down. So like what happened was we moved into this e-commerce stuff, and e-commerce is really no different from affiliate products. Basically what we were doing is drop shipping, and the way drop shipping works is you sell a product, and after someone buys the product, you take like you buy the product and have it shipped to them. Like there is no inventory, there's nothing like that. You could go to a site like AliExpress, for example, and there's people selling products for $5. You could like get a store together, put those products on your store, and sell it for 20 or 30, and like just pay $5 here, like get the product shipped out, and you're making $25 in return. Now the key is to like spend less than $25 on ads to get the sale.
Okay.
So like why should someone buy from you and not AliExpress directly? Because number one, they don't even know what AliExpress is in some cases. Sometimes they don't want to buy from a Chinese store. That's just how it is. They're like, okay, I don't want to go buy from the Chinese store. But if you have like an e-commerce store, right, that looks very branded and like it looks like you have a support system in place and whatever, they'll buy from you, you know. And now all you gotta do is like sell them a product, go back to like the Chinese store, buy the product from there, and have it shipped to them. And it's really that simple. And how do you get these customers? You run ads. So you take like, and this is where this is where my courses come into play, because I'll show you, like I really show people how to figure out what product's going to convert, what product's not going to convert, what product's going to sell, like what product's going to sell extremely well, what product's not scalable. And like I take like some of these things, you know, and like really like I have a full system for it on how to choose like the right products and stuff. So like you could take these products, advertise them on Facebook, and if your advertising costs are less than $25, and then you're making a profit. um, you know, again, the number depends. So if you're selling a product for $20 that you're buying for $5, now you need to get a sale for every $15 that you spend on ads to actually start making any profits. My business, however, is a little bit different now than it used to be, because when I started off in the e-commerce game, drop shipping was amazing. Like you could make money solely drop shipping. Now you really can't do it because Facebook has the quality scores, and there I have a few more nerdy terms really, but like now there's a lot of complications to it, because Facebook basically asks your customers, okay, did you get the product like in the last 2 weeks? And AliExpress takes 3 weeks to ship it, you know. So that becomes sort of a problem, and there's workarounds around it, and there's a way to deal with it. But now we're at a position where we can spend $20 to acquire a customer, and we end up spending $5 in loss on the front end, but we still make a lot of money on the back end because we have so many products to sell them on the back. Okay. So it's like this whole system that we have where we basically take products and sell them, you know, and we don't even manufacture the products. Like, you know, when you're getting started, you don't have to manufacture the products. It'll probably take you 1 hour to get a store up. You know, all you gotta do is like take the products, put them on your store, run ads to them. And if you know how to do it, you can keep doing it and keep making money doing it.
So for someone, again, most of my audience is solar guys. They're out knocking doors selling solar. But if they're like, hey, I hear this e-commerce thing, this online thing's blowing up, what are some of my options? Okay, so one of these options is something that Ace teaches. And basically the concept is this. There's a factory out in, let's say, China, because that's where a lot of factories are. And I'm in Canada. And there's these Canadians that just don't know about AliExpress because they're just too lazy, or maybe it's America and Americans are all freaked out about China, so they're not even going to consider buying anything from China direct. But since I'm an entrepreneur, I don't have any fears. I'm going to contact this guy that's selling a widget, right? Let's use the mug. They're selling this custom mug that looks like that I can print something special on. I can set up my website and then run traffic to that website through Facebook ads and make a profit on that mug I'm selling. But what you're saying too is have a few other things within that'll upsell and bring your average cart value higher, so you're profiting on that. Is that the basic outline for it?
Yeah, I mean, so basically, when you're getting started, right? You're going to be doing drop shipping, and I recommend that to anyone, because I mean, when you're getting started, you don't have a lot of money. You're in a shoestring budget. Like I've been there, so I understand where you guys are coming from. You can't really get a warehouse. Like there is no point in getting a warehouse because you don't even know what products are going to convert yet either. You have
so you're not like having to, like when you're contacting these people at AliExpress or whatever, you're not having to put a ton of money. You don't need like $30,000 to start your business and rent and overhead and all this stuff. there's a structure in place to be able to ship those to customers. Obviously, you have to pay for that structure. That's going to hurt your margins a little bit, but it's way less risky than doing the traditional route of like brick and mortar stores.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you literally have no costs, honestly. Like the only costs that you have are like the $27 for the Shopify account. Um, and you have like a few costs for like a few apps. And if you want a premium theme, you could get a premium theme for the app, and you can get a store up in less than 2 hours. If you know what you're doing, you can get a store up in less than an hour. But like, even if you're trying to learn, it'll take you 2 hours to get the store up, and that's it. Like, you don't have to buy the products or anything like that. The only thing you would have to invest money in now is to run ads, because you're basically taking the image and you're selling the product on your store, but you don't even have the product yet. So it's like you're going to be selling the product, and when someone buys it, that's when you go back to AliExpress and you're like, okay, I have a customer, so here's the money, ship the product up to them. It's really that simple.
Yeah, but I think there's a really key word there you said really quick I want to point out is if you know what you're doing. Because again, if I went online right now and I said how to do e-commerce, I'm sure I would get like 10,000, 20, 50,000, millions different results. And like, that's really confusing. But and again, one of the reasons we're having this conversation is, one, you've done that for years and years and years. You've had some ups and downs. So you've had a lot of failures, so you know what not to do. You've had a lot of successes. I think you said 140 testimonials of people you've helped do this. And I'm guessing those people were from all around the world with all different types of budgets. I'm guessing correctly, right?
Yeah.
And so that's an advantage of saying, hey, there's this guy on Facebook. His name's Ace Reddy, ACEREDDY. He's got an e-commerce course. I bet you if you direct message him, he'll get back to you on, hey, for a very, very like profitable amount, he can teach you how to do these things and get it running. And then if it doesn't work, then it's still a hobby. Like it probably work. It's going to work because you do it. But let's say it's just not your cup of tea. Like I tried it, I didn't like it. It doesn't like you're not. It's not like you hung a shingle on a brick and mortar store and didn't like that. Like that's super risky. But just doing this online, you can learn, see if you like it. If you like it and you're successful at it, awesome, keep running with it. If you're successful with it but you don't like it for whatever reason, it's just, then there wasn't a huge loss. There's no downside to doing this if you're at least interested in it. Or am I seeing that in any way, shape, or form wrong? Or you can correct me if I'm wrong.
No, I completely agree. I mean, the risks are pretty much non-existent. I mean, the only risk that you have is like with the ad costs. And again, the thing with ads is also, if you try to do it on your own, guys, you will lose a ton of money. That's just the law, because you don't know what you're doing when you get started. That is exactly why I recommend you buy either my course or someone else's.
Yeah.
I think you muted me there.
I meant to mute myself because I've been coughing this whole thing, so I meant to mute myself by muting you. But to buy your course, and I think that's like 100%. But yeah, like, well, I'm gonna give a testimonial of that because I actually saw a guy running ads in my on my Facebook feed, and the ads sucked. And I just reached out to him. I was like, dude, I don't know why I did. I just did. I was like, dude, your ad needs some help, brother. You're probably not getting a lot of conversions off that. He actually responded back to me and he said, I've run $400 and I haven't got one click.
Dang.
$400, no clicks. And I'm like, you could have spent that money on a course and then run ads for $10 and got a click. But that was only like of a week of ads or something like that. It was really quick. And he's still running that ad, but he's not willing to buy the course that would make it like way more effective. I was just like, it blows my mind. But you have to pay for that knowledge, and it's always like very, very affordable.
Yeah, I mean, as I told you a story before, I think the recording started. I had this client called Brent Shepard. The guy's from Florida. So like he comes to me and he's running this $20,000 per month business, selling subscription boxes. And he's like, dude, I'm doing $20,000 a month. I really want to scale, but like my numbers are capped. And like he buys this course from me after a lot of hesitation. The course was only $97. I think he just wanted to save, like he just wanted to know what he was getting before he bought it. So he was extremely skeptic and he didn't want to waste time on the course if it really wouldn't help him or whatever. He bought the course. 6 weeks later, the guy was now making like 50 or 60 grand a month. And like a year later now, in December, so it's like a year now, He's doing $200,000 a month, same business, using the same information I gave him. Okay. From one course, that's $97. This guy was already doing stuff, right? He was making 20 grand. So he already knew what he was doing, but he watched one course. It changed the whole landscape for him.
Yeah.
And this is what happened, like most of my clients. Like there was a guy called James, the guy gets the webinar. I think he's from Canada, actually. The guy gets my webinar. He goes out there, starts advertising stuff. He makes like, let me pull up the exact number, but it's somewhere around like $1,500 a day or so, or $1,500 a month or so. So like, I'm gonna pull up the exact number so I don't. No, it's $2,946. He sold 124 products, and this was in about a month or so. So, like instantly, when you get a course like mine and you start implementing it, you start getting results. No guarantees, of course, legally, because but you know,
well,
you
that's
get to
because every product's different. Everybody's hustle's different. Like that one example you used with Brett or whatever. Like he could have bought the course and not done anything with it and went nowhere. But I'm guessing he bought the course and he worked his freaking butt off, and then that like helped. So like yeah.
Yeah, exactly, guys. Another thing now you could do is you could also go watch my YouTube channel, because like I have a ton of videos on my YouTube channel about Facebook ads, funnel building, e-commerce. It's Ace Ready too. So go to YouTube, type in Ace Ready, you'll be able to pull up my channel. I share a lot of cool stuff in there. So yeah, you know, my whole deal has always been you got to pick one mentor and stick with that person to learn a specific activity, because I feel like people are so busy like looking for information from every different source. The truth is there are no experts. There's only people that are experienced. So everyone has their own way of doing things, and it works for them, and it might work for you. But that doesn't mean that the other person's system isn't real. It just means that there's two different people with two different systems. You just got to make the choice that you have to make. And if you decide to go with my system, you know, there's a ton of YouTube videos. You can buy like my courses and really stick to it until it starts to work. Because we're crushing it with that. Like just this month alone, we've sold over $32,000 worth of supplements with 14,000 in ad spend or so. So 13,000 in ad spend actually. So like, especially in the supplements market, that's pretty good.
What Ace? There's been a ton. Like I think, especially for my audience, this is a real big eye opener. I know for me, I've learned a ton. But is there any like before we wrap up, anything else you want to plug in or talk about?
I think I pretty much covered everything, man. And by the way, guys, I apologize if I was too ADD on the podcast. It's like I have this way of going into 7 different places at the same time. But you know, by the way, dude, this has been a great podcast. I don't really do any podcasts. Russ Watt told me that you guys had a great podcast together. I listened to that, and I'm like, okay, well, you know, I guess I'll jump on this. It should be fun.
Yeah, and Russ is one of the people you was. That's how I connected to you, is through Russ. Like somehow, I think we were like mutual friends, and we added each other. But so it's interesting how like those connections can take place online. But
yes, funny story about Russ, right? Because I'm sure your audience probably listened to Russ before too. I remember talking to Russ because I was killing it back in 2016. Like 2016 was like my prime year. I went on a vacation, spent like 25 grand on it, and didn't even care. That's how good I was killing it. I remember talking to Russ back in 2016. The guy was going through some deep, like I remember like we would talk a lot and we would do a lot of crazy stuff together. Like, you know, we would troll people and stuff. But like the guy was like in deep shit. And like I'm really like it's really interesting for me to see how he got out of it and like really rose to where he is. Because I mean, I've seen the guy. He was in $130,000 worth of debt or something. He owed the IRS 130 grand. And I'm like, dude, like, wow, like, how are you going to get through that? And kept pushing through. The guy made it through. So like, if you like, I don't know what position you're in right now, guys, but like, there's always a breakthrough. Like things will always get better if you want them to get better. And like Russ is honestly a prime example for it. Like I'm kind of an example for it, you know, because I went through stuff that most people wouldn't even think about. You know, and I was pretty young too. So like I had to deal with so much stuff when I was like 16 and 17 that grown adults don't have to deal with. You know, like imagine like having to like make the money in the home at like 16 and, you know, taking care of people and stuff. Anyway, like the whole sort of concept is you just got to keep moving forward. About Russ, I think Russ probably made his first dollar online from my program,
And
which is
Russ is doing really well, and he's making a huge impact on like. It's really cool to see the impact he's making and the audience he's creating. And so
yeah.
I like that point of just don't give up. If you keep pushing through, some days it's gonna suck. You don't want to push through, but if the next day you just push through, like there will be breakthroughs, and it does make a difference. But again, you can't give up, and you can't settle. Like you can't. That's the other thing. Like I think a lot of people say, "Oh, I'm not going to give up," but they do settle for that second tier, and that's okay. If that makes you happy, I think there's a lot of value to be found in happiness. I know a lot of times we say, you got to crush, you got to be making hundreds of thousands and stuff, but for people that do want to make those 100,000s, that means you got to go where not very many people have gone, and that means pushing through some pain and depression, and it's not fun. But on the other side is a pretty awesome place.
I mean, it's a part of the game, like you can't really be an entrepreneur and like have the life that you want to have without paying the price for it.
Yeah.
So I think that's the deal. One last thing I'd probably say, honestly, guys, is something that I've learned over the last, I think, a year and a half or so, is that you got to stop competing with people, like totally. I feel like most of us get, because for me this was true, right? Like I was like, even now sometimes, right? Like I'm 21 now, which many people would think is like really young to like start a business and like do things with. But I go to YouTube, for example, and there's all these like 18-year-old dudes making millions or whatever. And I'm like, dude, shit, like these, like I was making good money at 18, but nowhere near millions. Like what the heck? And like the thing is, like this sort of thinking, the faster you get rid of it, the better it is. And I used to have a lot of this stuff going on before. But like you just can't compete with people. You just gotta know what you want and then get that. And work on getting that. So like set your goals and set your targets and only think about the goals. Like it doesn't really matter what Ace Reddy lives like or what Russ Ward lives like or what this other Kevin David guy looks like or what Tal Lopez lives like. It's all about what do you want to live like. And if these guys are giving you information that's going to help you live that, go live that. But there's no point comparing ourselves to them. It's such a huge waste of time and money because now the next thing you're going to be spending a ton of money trying to live like them. Even
And then you're going after their happiness, which is not your happiness, and that's like a nasty trap to get into.
Yeah, it's a self-esteem killer, but before you'll have no self-esteem. You won't even know who you are, and you start hitting the Xbox hiccups. So yeah.
Okay, so we'll again, Ace, I appreciate you jumping on, and thank you for your wisdom. It belies your years. You've learned a lot for as young as you are, and I think the next decade, 2 decades will be really fun to follow that journey. So I'm glad like we're Facebook friends and I can watch it. But guys, Ace Reddy, he's on Facebook, on YouTube, Ace ACE, then Reddy REDDY. Follow him. You will not regret following him because he does post amazing content. He's not one of those guys that just sells you all the time. He brings value to his audience, and then lets that value bring you in, not him trying to bring you in by twisting your arm. So I
post a lot of funny memes, guys. You'll have fun.
Funny memes. So appreciate it, Ace, and we'll wish you a Merry Christmas.